Hey guys, I'm back with another discussion. Now, I'll keep the comments enabled for a little bit, but if people start bullying me again, I'm gonna disable them, since I've been receiving a lot of scathing replies due to my immature behavior in my other videos. But anyway, this is a completely different subject. I'm not gonna worry about that. Let's get into this. You fans all know Child's Play, and a ton of you guys are Chucky fans. Knowing me, I like seeing every bit of a good movie, every single bit of like good footage and all that. I like extended editions and deleted scenes and everything. But for those who weren't aware, Child's Play does have deleted scenes. However, the scenes have never been released to the public, and in fact, possibly the only folks who have seen them are probably the people who attended the screen testing in 1987. The movie ran for nearly 2 hours and it had received negative reviews. Dozens had complained that Chucky had too much screen time, so they reduced the movie by 25 minutes. And although it initially received bad reviews, it became a blockbuster success when the final cut was released. But unfortunately, the deleted scenes have never been released to the public. I read the 1987 script. I'll post a link to it in the description. It can be found on Internet Archive. There are also promotional images of these deleted scenes that can be found on the internet too. However, there isn't promotional images for every unused scene that was in the script. I'll explain what happens in these deleted scenes in order, and I'll also point out which scenes are confirmed to be filmed and which ones are not. However, note that there are some behind the scenes footage that does include dialogue that was in the script, but not in the final cut of the movie. Remember, 25 minutes of the movie was cut, so it could be possible that some of the scenes that I will mention could have or could not have been filmed. Keep that in mind. But anyway, let's get into it. Spoilers will be included too for people who haven't seen the movie yet. In the first deleted scene is an extended opening where a woman in a pink dress gets out of a bar and walks down an alley. Just then, a van pulls up, and Charles Lee Ray steps out of the van and follows the woman. His partner Eddie Caputo stays behind. Charles catches up to the woman and pins her against the wall in an alley. He holds a knife up to her and says, "Okay, bitch, show me what you look like." Then he gets kicked in the groin, and the woman throws off a wig, revealing that it's actually Officer Mike Norris in disguise. He then holds a gun up to him and says, "Am I pretty enough for you?" Then Charles Lee Ray catches him off guard by throwing a trash can at him before taking off down the street. Mike then gets up, throws off his dress, and chases after him, bringing us to the opening scene of the movie. The scene was the scene was cut because the directors wanted to start the film right away with the action. Also, if you look very carefully when you watch the opening of the movie, you can actually see Mike throwing something aside. If you think that was just like a jacket or something, it was actually the dress. Now, this one I'm about to mention is actually the only deleted scene so far to be released. I'll share a link to it in the description. In the second scene is an extended voodoo chant scene where Charles Lee Ray is on his knees to do the chant and holding the medallion while speaking in Haitian. The medallion would later be seen in the fourth movie. Surprisingly, with this scene released, it kind of debunks the theory of the deleted scenes being destroyed by mistake. And perhaps they redid it because they wanted to improve the acting. In the third deleted scene, it takes place during Andy's birthday, where he and his mom talk about his dad, who had passed away the year prior. There was a scene in the script that takes place there was there is a scene in the script that takes place at the school with Andy staring at the fence. In fact, I heard that the school scene from the second movie was originally intended for the first movie, but I doubt it was filmed. And I doubt the scene where Chucky kills the teacher was in the script too. Most likely the scene with Andy staring at the fence was the most likely planned scene. There was also some dialogue I saw where Andy shows Maggie Chucky and she's surprised that the toy actually works. I don't think that scene was actually filmed though. Now the fourth deleted scene takes place during the first night that he has Chucky. He shows Chucky around his room, as well as a picture of his late father and his train set. The scene most likely is about a minute or two long. It takes place shortly before Chucky goes to turn on the TV to watch the news. Now, in the fifth deleted scene, at the scene where Eddie's house blows up, Andy was meant to fall in a ditch, which would explain how he survived the explosion. That that short bit was cut because the directors thought it would just be easier to say he was found outside the house. There are unfortunately no promotional images of this scene, but Alex Vincent uploaded on his Instagram on April of 2021 some behind the scenes footage of Eddie's house, and a small bit of footage shows Andy poking his head out of the ditch, which confirms that the scene was indeed filmed. Now, it's possible that this next scene might have been filmed, but there's no confirmation yet. There was a lot of dialogue in the script at the police station scene. When reading through it, it seems much longer compared to the movie, with Mike explaining to Karen that they had arrested her son Andy on account of possibly killing Maggie due to his fingerprints found on the toy hammer, as well as killing Eddie Caputo. Karen, of course, responds that there is no possible way that Andy would have any motive whatsoever to kill Maggie. And as for Eddie Caputo, she doesn't show much concern for him when Mike explains that he's a serial killer. She says she simply says, "Okay, a psychopath is dead. So what?" And there's also a scene where Karen and Mike investigate the burnt down toy store where Charles Lee Ray had been shot and possessed himself in the doll. Again, now that I mention it, I'm not going to dismiss the possibility of those two scenes being filmed because, as I've stated earlier, 25 minutes was trimmed off, so they could possibly have been filmed. Deleted scene number 6. Now this scene is confirmed to be filmed since there are promotional images of him. In this scene, Andy arrives at the mental hospital and he meets a little girl named Mona. She does appear in the final version of the film, but her role is significantly smaller. I will explain more about her later. After Andy's brief meeting with her, he is escorted to his room by Dr. Ardmore. He also brings in a good guy doll to try and convince Andy that it's Chucky and that he's not alive, but Andy isn't fooled. The doctor eventually admits that it's not Andy's good guy doll, but even if it was, there's no way he can get in the building, and he leaves. But Andy says to himself, "You don't know Chucky." Deleted scene number 7. In this scene, it features an extended introduction to the voodoo doctor, John Bishop. In this scene, he's doing a ritual on a couple's sick baby. He is wearing his voodoo outfit as seen in the painting as Charles Lee Ray's apartment. He waves his staff around the baby as well as speaking in Haitian. He manages to heal the baby. The couple thanks him, pays him, and leaves. Then he takes off his jacket, wig, and hat and goes to the kitchen. Shortly afterwards, Chucky arrives. Finally, Deleted scene number 8. This one is my favorite deleted scene since 1. It has the most promotional images, and 2. It is about the only known deleted scene which shows Chucky alive, even though a majority of footage was cut to shorten Chucky's screen time. Well, but as I've stated, this is the only scene I know of where Chucky is shown alive that was cut. I have no idea if when they cut the footage, they meant to reduce Chucky's screen time of him when he's shown alive or just in general. I counted his total screen time of when he's shown alive. It's around 8.5 minutes out of 1 hour and 27 minutes. But with this scene I'm about to explain, it would most likely extend that number to an extra 2.25 minutes. But anyway, let's get into it. Originally, the scene where Chucky sneaks into the mental hospital ran longer. Just like the movie, the scene starts with Andy hearing a strange noise outside. He looks out the window to see Chucky climbing up the stairs from the building across from him. Chucky somehow makes it to the building where Andy is. He spots Andy through his window and goes after him. Chucky walks on the side of the building and attempts to get into Andy's room, but Andy sees him coming. He grabs a table and blocks the window, preventing Chucky from getting in. Chucky is furious and says that he'll find another way in. Then after Chucky leaves, that's when the small bit of footage from the film plays, where Andy goes to warn the doctor that Chucky is coming, to which he doesn't believe him, and the small footage of Chucky looking through the hallway window and stealing the keys on the desk. After that, more deleted footage comes in. Remember when I mentioned the little girl named Mona, who Andy met when he was brought to the hospital, and when I mentioned that she did appear near the end of the movie? She told Karen that she saw Andy and Chucky leaving the hospital. Well, in this next half of the deleted scene, not only does it explain a lot, but it also gives the girl a much bigger role in the movie too. After Chucky steals the keys, he comes into contact with the little girl Mona, to which he sees as an easy route to help him get through the hall undetected. He asks her for help. Seeing that she's already in a mental hospital for whatever reason, a talking doll is nothing out of the ordinary to her. He tells her that he and Andy are friends. She believes him. He asks her to take him to Andy's room, and she complies without hesitation. She carries him across the hallway, goes to a desk, and asks the man where Andy's room is, so she can bring him her doll, so she can bring him his doll. The man tells her it's room 7, and she takes Chucky directly there. Chucky unlocks the door. He then tells Mona to put him down and leave, which she does, and Chucky goes inside, which brings us to the rest of the scene that made it into the film. Those are all the confirmed deleted scenes. However, some behind the scenes footage in some behind the scenes footage, I did see some clips of unused lines, along with an added shot of Chucky climbing on top of a chair before turning on the electric shock machine. While he was using it, he did use a few bit of dialogue, to which he says, "Is this what you use to make your crazy patients better? Shock treatments, aren't they called? They used it on me once, but I don't think it did much effect." As well as a few lines of him in the final battle scene in the apartment from where he's all burnt up after being lit on fire. There was a few lines to which he mocks Karen while she's shooting him repeatedly. My most plausible speculation as to why those lines weren't used was because it was taking them too long to film. Since the footage I watched, they did do numerous retakes on them. There was also a small part I read in the script of Chucky being carried across town by a boy named Johnny in order to get to Andy's apartment undetected. But I don't know if they actually used that. I know I've stated earlier twice of not dismissing the possibility of any of these scenes being filmed due to 25 minutes being cut. But for this one, just like the school scene, I'm probably gonna assume that it wasn't filmed. Now in the documentary in the bonus features, one of the directors mentions this, and it's in the 1980 script, and it's in the 1987 script as well. There was going to be an alternate ending of the final fight scene. It was most likely changed due to budget expenses and such. Originally, Andy was meant to do most of the violence to Chucky before Karen and Mike arrive. Andy decide Before Karen and Mike arrive, Andy decides to defend himself, and some of his techniques you may compare to Home Alone. When Chucky is looking for Andy, Andy uses one of his toys he has in his closet. He ties a knife to a remote control car and stabs Chucky right in the knee. At some point later, when Chucky goes for another strike, Andy squirts him with a water gun filled with Drano, which melts half his face. However, Andy is caught off guard. Chucky still knocks him out, but instead of hitting him with a bat, he chokes him with a slinky, but only enough to render him unconscious. For a little bit from there, the script is still the same. He attempts to do the chant, and Mike and Karen arrive before he can finish it. Chucky still gets thrown in the fire, and he gets defeated in a different way. Mike hits Chucky with a bat, knocking his head clean off. His head rolls across the floor as the police arrive. Just as Mike's partner Jack walks in the door, Chucky bites him right on the knee, and his body attempts to pounce on him. But Karen shoots his body before he can make it there. Chucky's head lets go of Jack and rolls on the floor and says, "Heidi ho, ha ha ha," before it ceases all motion. Afterwards, Chucky is taken to the police station. Jack says to one officer that the doll was alive, and he felt it. The other officer tells him that he's been drinking too much coffee. He turns off the light, and they leave. Afterwards, a fly buzzes around Chucky's head, the screen moves towards the window, and a slap can be heard in the background. Shortly afterwards, the screen goes dark, and the credits roll. That's everything I found of the deleted Child's Play scenes. I will be posting a link to the 1987 script in the description below, as well as a few links to a couple of Change.org petitions that are aiming to get the deleted scenes released. So for those who watch this video and really love Child's Play, I'd recommend you folks signing these petitions and possibly donating money to them. If possible, you don't have to get them more noticed. And let's show MGM Studios how badly we want these scenes released. I will also post a link to the promotional images of these scenes too. Also, before I go, my friend Joseph had actually spoken to Tom Holland on Twitter regarding the release of the deleted scenes, and Tom Holland had told him that he'll have to ask MGM Studios, which is now owned by Amazon, to release the scenes since they have the rights to the footage. We asked him how he asked him how we could possibly contact them. Tom Holland said he wasn't so sure, but he is keen on wanting the scenes to be released in DVD extras one day. So with all that said, like I just said right now, don't hesitate to sign these petitions if you want to see the scenes released. I know some of you may say that petitions don't work, but Change.org, it's had some petitions that have worked, and it might be our best shot to get them to take notice. At this point, I'd probably do anything. But anyway, keep it real and share some responses below.